Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2015 horror comedy anthology film Zombieworld. Now, as you know, if you have followed me on my channel for any length of time, in regards to the horror genre, there's two that stand out for me that I generally really quite like, and that's horror anthology films and found footage films. When they're done right, they can be really entertaining. And horror anthology films that can be a particular favourite of mine sometimes, so I'm always on the lookout for good horror anthology films, and this one has been recommended to me a couple of times by different people. And what is this horror anthology film focused on? Well, this film focuses on essentially the zombie apocalypse has taken place. The world has now become zombie world. Essentially the world has 99% population is zombies. We are the ones who are in danger now. And the film centres around Marvin Gloat, who is a newscaster who is bringing us different news stories from different parts of the globe to show us the extent of the zombie outbreak globally. Now, it's a bit of a bit different, this anthology film, in a sense of some of the stories can be a decent length of time, 10 minutes plus, and some of them could be just a couple of minutes. So there's a lot of different stories here and a lot of stuff going off, and some of them are presented like I say, newscast things, or like commercials. Sometimes there's a couple of things like How to Survive the Zombie Apocalypse, where there's this voiceover telling you how to survive the zombie apocalypse by using these methods and that methods, and quite a comedic approach to doing it, a bit like the commercials from Starship Troopers, that type of vibe. And then there are more meaty stories here in this film. The first one is set in Ireland, and it's about two guys who are living in a flat together. He comes back from trying to get some supplies, and he finds his friend on the floor, been bitten by a zombie. This film focuses on him like vocalising how that makes him feel, etc, and this is quite a comedic approach, this story. There is another story, quite a short one, a police officer responding to the beginning of the outbreak and responding to a woman trapped in a car, and as you can imagine, the zombies don't make that a pleasant experience for him and everybody else. And throughout this, you've got Marvin Gloat, who at the beginning of the newscast you see that he has been bitten, and each time it cuts back to him, you can see him getting progressively poorlier as the segments go on, sort of thing. So at the beginning he's fine with the worst wig you've ever seen in your life. By the end, he's turning more and more into a zombie. There's another tale where I believe it's Australia, and there's a woman there surviving on her own who is desperately unhappy, not only because the zombie apocalypse is happening, but she has lost her husband, and that focuses on her trying to survive. And in actual fact, she's got a husband chained up downstairs that she still thinks she could make the marriage happen. Fair enough. And then you get a couple of clips on how to survive the zombie apocalypse, sort of thing. And you get another tale. It's like a first-person perspective on the zombie outbreak, and there's three friends. You see it from one person's perspective, trying to escape and everything. And then it turns then into, he doesn't escape. It gets turned into a zombie. Then you see it from a first-person perspective with him being a zombie. And this reminded me of, actually, remember the story in VHS 2, I believe it is. You remember when that guy gets turned into a zombie and you see everything from the first person perspective? This tale reminded me very much of that VHS 2 tale. Then there's a story of video game. The shooters where you're shooting zombies in video games. Well, this one's a bit weird, this tale, where this guy gets kind of sucked into the game and he kind of becomes one of the targets in the game. Then you get this weird story that actually has nothing to do really with zombies at all. It's about a postman delivering mail somewhere out in the US, and the daughter, who likes to spin a few yarns, tells him these tales about her family and everything, and scares the pants off him, kind of thing. And the whole thing really has a bit of a grindhouse feel to it, this film. I'll give it that. It's ultra violent at times. It does hold a certain charm to it. I really like the opening to the film as well. Like, it really had a very clever opening, and it does have a certain amount of charm to it throughout this film. But some of the segments just let it down in the sense of the quality of it, the poor quality of some of the segments, and it just feels a bit too chaotic to me. You know, some of the stories are 10 minutes long, some of them a couple of minutes long, and it felt like some of the comedy was a bit too forced in some of the segments. It's like, that's not funny enough, let's get the laughter up a bit here. And I don't know, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. I almost toyed with a 6 out of 10, but if I'm being truthful and fair to this film, the quality of it does let it down somewhat, so which is why it's down to a 5 out of 10. But it was a really good attempt at an anthology film, and it was a little bit different, and for the most part it worked in certain sections, but I do think the quality ultimately lets it down. So that's my review for Zombieworld. If you liked it, click the like button. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, and thank you very much for watching.